So today I take pleasure introducing our guest speaker, Ratan Sharda ji, Dr. Ratan Sharda ji. So before he enlighten us on the subject of conflict resolution, the RSS way, I will have a brief introduction of Dr. Ratan Sharda ji. Ratan Sharda ji has been awarded a PhD for his thesis on RSS. He is an author, columnist, and renowned TV panelist. He has written 9 books, 7 books on RSS, and 1 book on Guru Nanak Dev, and 1 on disaster management. Translated 2 books about RSS. The incomparable Guru Golwalkar and MS Golwalkar, his vision and mission from Hindi to English. Written by foremost RSS thinker Sri Ranga Hari. He has edited, designed 12 books. His most popular books on RSS are RSS 360 Degree, Sangh and Swaraj, RSS Evolution from an Organization to a Movement, Professor Rajendra Singh Ki Jivan Yatra, and Conflict Resolution, the RSS Way. Ratan Sharda ji has traveled extensively in outside Bharat. He was jailed during 1975-77 emergency days. He was an ERP consultant for 2 decades in addition to varied industrial experience of 2 decades. He was the founder secretary of Vishwa Kendra Center of International Studies, Mumbai for 8 years. He is an advisor to many educational institutions and voluntary organizations. We are really privileged to have such an esteemed speaker today. So I request Ratan Sharda ji to kindly take over the session and enlighten us. Thank you, sir.
Dhanyawad Ajay ji. And namaskar to all my colleagues, my friends, young and old alike. It's a wonderful platform to talk on. And it's also a platform which is dedicated to raising the profile of Hindus, educating them, and also nurturing the Hindu society with values. So it's good to be here. In fact, RSS 360 was released by Dr. Swami and proved to be a great hit. That was the only place where the distributor was found wanting because all the copies it brought were sold out. And they were more autographed by Dr. Swami than by me. So we know, of course. Coming to the book itself, if you look at my body of work on RSS, if I focus on main 3 books, that is RSS 360, then came RSS Evolution from Organization to a Movement, and now this Conflict Resolution, the RSS Way. In between, of course, there is a book on Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, which was started by my late Chacha ji. There is a biography of Manniya Raju Bhaiya, the 4th Sarsang Chalak, and also a filler which is Sangh and Swaraj, basically highlighting the Sangh's role in the freedom struggle. So if you look at this body of work, I would say that anybody who wants to know about RSS in depth, for me, RSS 360 is a primer on various aspects of RSS. It's a 360 view on how organization is built, its intellectual base, its philosophy, and its manifestation in various forms. So anybody who wants to know RSS as a basically with no knowledge, because it was meant for people outside RSS, rather than inside RSS, because people had large number of questions. People did not know many people out of ignorance, some people out of pre-assumed ideas. And I am happy to note that many people have come to me saying that because of the book, they become Swayamsevak. That would be the ultimate tribute to what I could do for people. Second is evolution from organization to a mass movement, because people have an idea that RS is a very state organization, 96 years, same uniform or nearly same uniform, same prayer, same thing coming on the ground, you're playing together and singing prarthana, etc. There is nothing new. It's a very orthodox kind of organization, very what you call, Puratan Kal ka ek sangathan hai, which is just going on, and for reasons unknown is also growing. So the idea of that book is, if you have gone through RSS 360 as you move to the second book, you are able to appreciate how RSS has evolved over a period of time, right from a single shakha of about 13, 14 people to first mass organization with work in nearly every aspects of national life, whether it's student, whether it's labor, whether it's political, whether it's religious, or whether it's tribal. Every possible aspect of dimension of national life has been covered over a period of time. And this evolution came from the Swayamsevaks who kept on adding new dimensions to RSS. As RSS founder said that RSS will do nothing, but Swayamsevak will do everything. So the second book is a proof of what Swayamsevaks do, but also how RSS has fine-tuned its work, its working style, its organization over a period of time without even people really realizing, and how slowly new ideas in RSS itself have been added. There are certain aspects we cannot change, but there are a lot of areas where RSS has grown beyond orthodox viewpoint that people have, and it has created impression upon every dimension of national life in a very positive manner. And how it became a mass movement, where now the original dream of RSS founder, that RSS is not an organization in the society, RSS is organization of the society. When we were young, we could never understand why he said so, nor could we really see. We saw we are a small organization of a very large society, and we hardly have interaction with the society in the way that Dr. J envisaged. But we see that over a period of time, with tweaking and adding new dimensions and new movements, how RSS was able to become a mass movement where every person of the society feels linked to RSS, looks up to RSS, and also believes he's also working for the RSS cause, sometimes even scolding and criticizing it for not doing what it is supposed to do and what should be done. So this close interaction, and also the way now people are talking about Hindutva, Hindu Dharma, even outside RSS, which was expected by RSS, that when you say people's organization, which means every part of the society is involved. So this highlight has been brought into that book, and that is the background of lives of 6 RSS Sarsang Chalaks who actually guide the organization, give it a slight push in this direction or that direction, and give it certain ideas, and then they are adopted by people. I've also been able to point out how all the RSS organization chiefs have some very common qualities, same level, high level of IQ, same high level of EQ, same high level of SQ, that is intelligence quotient, the social quotient, and the emotional quotient, which makes a successful leader. And how they are connected to the roots, how they are connected to each and every Swayamsevak. All these aspects of RSS growth, the secret of RSS growth in a way that we can understand, we didn't realize how it has grown, and how we are actually mistaken when we believe that RSS not change. So that gives you very good perspective of its 96 years of life, where I also give an indication what the next 4 years will be and how RSS would like to conclude its 100 years. Because RSS doesn't believe in celebrations, birthday celebrations. Dr. Ji said the same. Bhalasaheb Devara said the same, that we are not here to celebrate anniversary of the organization. We are here to complete some task, some objective. So then I moved on to conflict resolution. Now, significance of this book is it is based on of course, my research thesis for PhD, which I've rewritten completely to suit the reader, because the theses are generally dry. They're academics, so people can't really enjoy reading it. So I try to create a kind of running story of the book, where once you start reading, you realize it's a microcosm of history, a bird's eye view of history, right from 1947, 46 to to the current times, which means how India has moved, Bharat has moved during last 75 years or 73 years. and how things have appeared, how various, how evolution of its current history happens. It's a current history. It's a history we can identify with. Most of us can identify. Some of it has been present in the books, some has been hidden from the books. So during these 70 years, what RSS has done, what kind of challenges India has faced. So this is what I have tried to do in this particular thesis in the book, because RSS, what RSS says is generally said in how the idea of this book comes, that how does RSS create its policies? People have no clue. Till the media came in, the media cell of RSS became active in 1990s. People have no clue how RSS stand, how RSS makes a policy. So there is a continuous, the RSS workers and Swayamseks and the leaders watch continuously what is happening in the society. They change ideas, but these ideas are evolved into a resolution once, twice in a year, once during the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, once during Kendriya Karyakarini, which is Karyakarini, which is all India Delegates Congress, other is Central Working Committee. Now, the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha is not a nominated body. It is a body which has ex officio members, which are state working committee onwards, but there are hundreds of people elected from district level by the senior Swayamsevaks who choose to go to the Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha with a good record of attendance of Sangha work. They are elected and sent to the central committee. Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha. They in turn elect the Sarkareva, which is the general secretary, which is the chief executive officer, we can say, while Sarasanga Chalak is the guide and philosopher. So these Sarkareva is the one who takes the decision. He's an elected entity. He has to get elected every 3 years. So there is certain democratic processes which have fallen into place in RSS. Secondly, these the greatness of the organization is that it is able to create a democracy based on consensus, where everybody is given enough time to discuss, to thrash out all differences, and till the differences are thrashed out, decision is not taken. No decision is put under the throat of anybody saying this is the final decision of Sarkareva or Sarsanga Chalak. And this is proven fact. If you look at the RSS structure, I've gone to Shaka right from the basic unit of Shaka, where all the decisions are taken by the Shaka's working committee. Then onwards, everywhere in a meeting, if you go, you'll find certain decisions are postponed for months together because everybody is not on the same page. This ability of organization to create consensus is one of the winning points, and that is a never split. So same process is followed on Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha. So during Akhil Bharatiya Pratinidhi Sabha, any delegate can present any resolution. That resolution is discussed thoroughly, sometimes for hours, sometimes for 2 or 3 days, if the resolution is very contentious, like any resolution on Jammu Kashmir, for example, or a resolution on Northeast, or resolution on reservation, etc. And then a final resolution is worked out. That resolution is presented to the assembly and then is passed. So these resolutions, in fact, present the policy, the direction of RSS, because these are the only documents which are available to the public before media came in a big way. So if you want to really understand RSS working, one has to study resolutions. All the resolutions were presented to the media, but nobody took any care. Nobody worried about it. Nobody bothered to read the resolutions. Now, if you read, you find RSS consistent stand on various issues right from 1947 to 2020. In between, wherever there is a need to tweak its thinking, tweak its philosophy, understand the issues, it has paused, it has done a fine tuning and come up with a new approach to the problem. This is the thing which you understand when you read the resolutions. Resolutions being many, if I look at the number of resolutions, I'll just give you a rough idea that how resolutions were, how many resolutions were classified. I'll share some data. Yes, so there are resolutions on national issues. There are 40 resolutions. This is up to 2014-15. Refuting allegations on RSS 2019. Resolutions about minorities 22. Hindu society and its reform 22. 15, economic issues 17, cultural issues 14, cow protection 7, Ram temple 10, and social service related 7, issues of national unity and integrity. On Jammu Kashmir, there are 25 resolutions. On Northeast, 17 resolutions. Punjab, 12 resolutions. On national security itself, 21 resolutions. On Bangladesh, including Pakistan, 14. On Pakistan, 15. China, 4. Lanka and Nepal, 1 each. And on RSS leaders, only 2. So you see, when you say RSS not, it doesn't do Vyakti Puja, personality celebration, you'll find that no resolution has been passed except 2. One on the 100th birth anniversary of Dr. Hedgewar and one on 51st anniversary of Dr. Shri Guruji. So you will find the maximum number of resolutions passed are on national issues of security concern and national integration concern. It shows that RSS is much beyond Hindu Rashtra, Hindutva, etc., on which RSS is always measured, always criticized or appreciated. RSS is involved in guiding the national issues in a proper way throughout its existence right from beginning. The issues being so many, I chose 3 topics, which is Northeast, Punjab, and Jammu Kashmir. These are the biggest challenges right from the time of independence till recent times, and they actually endangered the very integrity of nations. So I chose these 3 topics. And if you realize that a nation can fight better when a society, a conscious, awakened, organized society, disciplined society supports the government policies, supports the state. It can criticize, RSS has criticized the government policies in many places, but it has also supported government when the issue of national security or national good, rises. For example, it criticized Nehruji continuously, but during 1962 war, for this particular Chinese fiasco, it had Swayamsev standing on every side, right, helping the government in controlling traffic and providing foods and resources to military, etc., etc. And secondly, I have dedicated this book to one RSS Swayamsevak called Jai Krishanji, whom I happened to meet in Una, Himachal Pradesh, who was the backbone of RSS fight against separatist elements in Punjab in 1980-90 terrorism days. And he was an ex-pracharak, he got married, he had a family and children. But when the issue of national security and the breaking of the society came up, when RSS, he told senior Karyakarta, the resolution is fine, but how do we actually fight it? They asked him whether he will be ready to fight it. He said yes. So he was called to Delhi. Issues are discussed. The leaders asked whether he will take up the responsibility. He said, yeah, why not? They asked him whether you know what is the result. He said yes, bullet, which means he could be killed anytime. Situation was so bad. But he rose to the occasion. He led the fight from the front. He refused to cow down. The slogan they coined was that we will not allow separatists to win the day. We will not another partition. So Hindu Sikh nu ladan nahi dena, 1947 hon nahi dena. In Punjabi, that was a slogan. Not only that, he had guts to speak in public meetings, telling Bhindrewala that we know that a bichu is sitting on the shivling, but we can't hit the shivling. If it was so, we will tell you what is the lesson. Come out and we are ready to take you on. This courage, when lack of people came on the road, there were processions, there were public meetings. This news hardly came out except in the newspapers. When I met him, he had cuttings of those news items. He had photographs of the news items. And I was so relieved that finally this RSS contribution will be shared in the public. Another thing which I missed in the book, which I was told later, was that RSS, after this, organized 15 pracharaks from different corners of Bharat, from different states to work in Punjab. So Punjabi Swayamsevak can work for Sikh Hindu unity and fight against terrorism, while outside pracharaks will come and settle in Punjab and work. And there are a couple of pracharaks who came at that time who are still working there, who don't belong to Punjab. So the strength of RSS to provide manpower to say what it has to be done, and similar stories of excellent, normal, ordinary human beings rising to great heights and doing extraordinary work. Another favorite story of mine is how Kulkarni, just a moment, let me remember the name correctly, it won't be right, who, Bhaiyaji Kane, who belongs to Dombivali, he was inspired by Guruji to go to Northeast to work in Northeast, open some school. So he went to school, he opened a school in a village called Ukhrul, which is 6 kilometers from Myanmar border in Manipur. It takes 3 days to walk to the school. He started a school. He wanted young children to come to Mumbai or Maharashtra to understand that the people in Northeast and people in Bharat are same. Their culture is same, and they belong to the same nation, and we are all one. When he wanted to bring the local people, his objection, as you know, there are missionaries there who said this guy will take away the children, he will sell them, he will sell their organs and whatnot. So refused. At that time, he had a young student. He had a young student called Jayavant with him, Jayavant Kondvilkar, who is still alive, still working for RSS inspired schools in Northeast. He said, "You keep this boy with you. If I don't return, you can keep the boy. If I return, you can give me back, give the boy back to me." And the boy agreed. So this high level of trust in the society, high level of faith in the person tells you how the work actually RSS can do the work that it does. So if you go to Jammu Kashmir, same story. Balraj Madhokji was in Srinagar, he was in Jammu, he was everywhere during the Kabaili attack on Kashmir, and RSS himself led from the front. Hundreds of them lost their lives supporting army, first Dogra army, then the Indian Army, Air Force, building bridges, building runways, building roads. So these are all being quoted here in the book. Now, having said this, if you look further, you will find that wherever you go, wherever RSS worked, depending on the local situation, it found local solution. There was no one fit all solution. It was not just one single solution, whether you talk of Kashmir or Punjab or Northeast. In Northeast, it realized that it had no strength to fight this huge church machinery, which was very oppressive and very strong. It was very difficult to convince people. So they started Seva Karya, that not just Sangh, Varmasi Kalyan Ashram, Vivekanand Kendra, then Ramakrishna Mission kind of organizations. They began running schools, and we are fighting against organization like church, which had come to Northeast way back in 1836. So having started work there in this way, they had schools, they had school hostels, and you will see many hostels now in Maharashtra who take care of Northeast students who come to study here. So this was the activity started in 1950 when Eknath Ranade said situation is North is very bad and we need pracharaks immediately. So Maharashtra sent 8 pracharaks. One pracharak came from Punjab, one pracharak came from Delhi or UP, and 10 pracharaks went to Northeast without a single penny of resource. So that is how the work in Northeast started. Then, as I said, schools, health centers, and also reviving the tribal traditions which were being oppressed continuously and terrorized by the church. So it was not that we asked them to get into what is called Vaishnav Dharma or typical Hindu Dharma, etc. Whatever they were following, they were told this is your religion, this is same as Hindu religion. When people asked, see, Vishnu Parishad's second conference after Prayag, when it was founded, took place in Northeast. So you can understand the importance given by Northeast, given to Northeast by RSS. So Guruji was present, and people said, "ये लोग तो beef खाते हैं, ये तो non-veg खाते हैं, ये तो कुछ भी खाते हैं, इनको आप हिंदू कैसे बोल सकते हो?" He cited scripture saying that we are also animists, we are also nature worshippers. Look at, we do Nag Puja, we do Vriksha Puja, we do all natural worships that tribal people do. So we are same Sanatan Dharma. So they are also part of Hindu society. Their food habits have been due to certain problems there, and they will improve over time. But for this reason, you cannot separate them. So this is how they were brought in. The revival of the indigenous faith was done slowly and steadily. Now I was talking to somebody 2 days back. Now situation is such that the pride for the tribal culture, because they feel cut off from their roots when they go to some other religion, is reviving, is becoming very strong. So that is a period of time you see that slowly the situation in Northeast changed, and that is when the local people, the people who are afraid of these terror attacks, etc., they work fine. Not only the locals, but RSS also supported refugees. Chakma refugees were Buddhists thrown out of Bangladesh. Other refugees came to Assam and Bengal, and also the Masas who were persecuted because they refused to convert to Christianity. So such stories abound. All these have been covered in case of Northeast. As you go through it, you will find a lot of data. The importance of this particular research is that I don't depend on RSS documents alone. When I looked at what was the points, I said historic background of that particular situation. that what was the RSS work during the time when these things started? What was RSS doing at that time? What was the situation? What was the kind of cultural and social situation of those places where regions where this happened? Then I would look at the scenario when the time of the resolution was passed. That certain resolution when passed, what was the scenario of that time? What was happening? So I quote newspapers, I quote magazines. Then there is what is the thing of the mainstream politicians and the leaders. There again, I quote from the books, I quote from the newspapers, what was Congress thinking, what a Muslim is thinking, or what communists were thinking, what they were trying to pass on, what are the mainstream thought at that time, how RSS, despite not thinking like mainstream, didn't get into populist thinking, rode against the wave and gave its point of view very frankly. And then what was the follow-up action? Everybody passes resolution. Resolution passing is very good pastime, right from societies to everybody else to the top UNO bodies. But does RSS follow up on the resolution? So I find that there is follow up. There are RSS always says appeals to themselves to work in a certain way to promote a certain idea. Then it appeals to the larger society to please support that cause and support the movement. If you look at Northeast again, when this illegal immigrant issue was boiling, at that time RSS stood its ground saying that you cannot equate a person who has come for economic gains and a person who has come to Bharat because of persecution. So you must differentiate between the two. It was opposed, it was criticized, it stood its ground. Now we see a CA comes, that the same thinking has come into our mainstream thinking. So everywhere, if you see, there is certain flow of idea. That is how I try to capture it. If you go to Punjab, we come to realize that in Punjab, the problem of Punjab started because Congress did not want to share governance. It did not want Akalis to have a share in the power. From there, the trouble started. It did not want to make Gurumukhi the state language because it thought that Hindi-speaking people or non-Sikhs will suffer. So, agreeing to Punjabi as the mother tongue was a problem. RSMA started a protest move saying that in census you put your name as your language as Hindi. Guruji opposed it. Not many people know. Guruji scolded RSS himself. He scolded Jansangh people, saying that Punjabi is our national language, like every regional language. This is also national language. This is your mother tongue, and you must put it as Punjabi. It is not language of particular religion, etc. So that changed the view. Again, Punjabi Suba was the last one to be made. State Reorganization Committee started in 53. Punjab was declared a state in 1966 because Congress didn't want to lose the power, believing that Akalis take over. Then on, whenever Akalis came to power, Akali Janata Party came in power, Congress would see to it that Akali's government is broken. That is which led to Anandpur Sahib resolution. That is what led to extremist views further created by Indira Ji by promoting people like Bhindranwale. Then on, I show how RSS stood ground, its members were killed, its shakhas were fired upon, and how it stood the ground, how slowly situation changed. If I go to Jammu Kashmir, again, what was the Sheikh Abdullah's role? Surprisingly, people who wanted to integrate with Bharat were called communal. Those people who wanted a separate state in the name of religion were called secular. Not only that, 370 was passed to show that we don't believe in two-nation theory, but by giving special status to Jammu Kashmir because it was a minority-dominated state, so-called minority, which is majority there. So it was given a special status by very negating the very idea of the one nation theory, because we agreed that there are two nations, so Muslims get special privileges. From there on, how RSS supported integration of Jammu Kashmir with Bharat, how it continuously fought against 370, against 35A. In fact, 35A was searched by RSS researchers much later in year 2000. Nobody before that knew that there is a clause, there is a law called 35A, which was inserted surreptitiously into constitution by getting the signature of president without presenting it to parliament. So this was the cause for injustice to Pakistan. Refugees who came from Pakistan, refugees who came from Punjab as Safai Karmacharis, women, and people like Dogra who came from outside to support the Dogra regime in 1848. So these people never got citizenship. More than 1 million people. When the Punjabis who came from Layalpur ended up in Punjab, 2 of them became prime ministers, Manmohan Singh and Inder Kumar Gujral. But people who landed up because they're poor, they could not travel so much, they came to Jammu Kashmir. For 70 years, they were without any roof on the head. They didn't have any facility in the schools, in colleges, and higher studies. As Safai Karmachari's son or daughter could become only Safai Karmachari, even if the person did PhD. That was the situation there. So RSS continually exposed those games, continuously canvassed for the change, and finally we see the change in the Jammu Kashmir during that time. So if you see that everywhere, and not only that, during Jammu Kashmir, it for the first time it set out a special study group. After the study group presented a report, for the first time, idea of dividing Kashmir into Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh was presented to the government. Many solutions, had they been presented to government at the right time, a lot of problems that we see today would have been resolved. I also see from the resolutions that RSS may be the only organization which connected all the dots. So it could connect the Khalistanis sitting in Kashmir, Kashmiri terrorists having links in UP, or Kerala terrorists having link in Northeast. All these linkages were clearly brought out by RSS because of its ground intelligence, because RSS swims us everywhere. So this ability to understand the overall scenario, overall threat to the national security, etc., have been brought out into this book. So you'll find that RSS, much beyond what you see as only Shaka, has been able to influence the national evolution, the resolution of national issues by taking people along, by taking society along, and wherever required, with persuasion, where required, with firm action, but never antagonizing people, never going against the local people, but taking people along, where required, also telling who is enemy of the society, who is creating problems, without worrying about popularity, without worrying whether it's Congress or communists or Muslims or whosoever. And as I said, even in Punjab, Guruji directly told Hindus that this is wrong that you are doing. And there is a story which is not there in this book, but very interestingly, because there's a lot of discussion is happening, many people do not know, and during Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti Andolan, Raigad was renovated, Shivaji's statue was put up in Raigad, and inauguration, Congress people said Nehruji will come. There was huge opposition. There was agitation that Nehru will not be allowed to go to Raigad. It is like defiling Shivaji, because Maharashtra had not been given yet the state status. At that time, Guruji stood up, took an unpopular stance, saying that Nehruji is a prime minister of the nation. Remember, Nehruji had done his worst to persecute RSS. Remember this, in 49, RSS ban was removed. And after, within a few years, Guruji stood up with Nehruji, not only during China War, even for this, saying that as prime minister of the nation, we cannot insult the prime minister of the nation. Political issues can carry on, but we must allow Nehruji to do the inauguration. So lakhs of pamphlets were distributed all over Maharashtra. Finally, Nehruji came, and inauguration of that particular event took place. So this is the national view with which RSS has tackled all the issues. And coming to the overall conflict record of the world, it's very interesting to note that 36% of the conflicts or insurgents of the world, if they ended in less than 10 years, they went in favor of insurgents, or over 10 years. 28% of the conflicts had mixed outcomes. 36% of the resolutions ended in government victory, with average duration of 12 years. And only about a dozen, these conflicts are not yet resolved. And if I look at the numbers of resolution, how the conflicts were resolved, is some important information. I won't be able to find now, but the only conflicts left now are in mostly Muslim areas, and they are between Muslims of different sects, or Christians and Muslims, and or between the military dictatorship and the Muslims. But if you look at this stance, you will realize that when you look at Lebanon, for example, which I highlighted in the book, Lebanon had a very thriving Christian civilization, very thriving nation. It used to be called Paris of the East. And Muslims were allowed to come as refugees from the adjoining country because of the civil war there. And they settled there. Slowly, the numbers increased. Finally, they started dominating the politics. There was continuous civil war. Finally, the Christians gave up control of governance. The geography of Lebanon is more or less divided between Christians and Muslims. In all this fight, Lebanon has simply been destroyed from a thriving economy, it has become a basket case. If you look at the latest pictures when there was a bomb thrown in the petroleum reserves, etc., what has happened to the country? So reason to resolve the conflicts, reason to look at them stare directly in the eye is very important. In the book, I also drawn certain criticism about in certain things where RSS could have done better, but that's for people to read the book. So it's not just one-sided book. So with this, I close my remarks. I'm open to question answer. I just like to add, even if you look at in Punjab, if you look at now, similar situation is happening. What has happened in last since 1980s when Pakistan lost Bangladesh, there has been sustained work by Pakistan with Khalistani elements to change the very history of Sikh religion. Even the meaning of the dohas and Gurbani in a very subtle way. And that is, if you note, if you read over period, you realize how it is done. History written by Sikh sons is no more used. More of it is used by what British Macauliffe wrote as Sikh history, interpretation of Macauliffe. So this is the root cause of what is happening currently in Punjab. And seeds lie in 1980s after Pakistan and Khalistani elements. If you remember, Jagsit Singh Chauhan was a guest of Pakistanis. And that is where Pakistan in sweet revenge has continuously sustained this narration of different Sikhi, etc., etc. Yes, please, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ratan Sharda ji, for your sharing knowledge about RSS 360-degree work and unparalleled work, and especially the dedication about all the Swayam Sevaks. Especially you told the story about Bhaiya Ji Kane from Domboli, one Swayam Sevak from Punjab. So really, and one point is that there is instilling the high level of trust in the society and faith in the person. So we are really thankful for your sharing this commendable knowledge about RSS. And now I invite for the questions. There is one question in chat box. I have heard that RSS has protected Darbar Sahib twice. Can you put a light on it? I think you are.
अनम्यूट कर रहे हैं आपको, आप म्यूट है सर, नहीं आ रहा है। सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है, रतन जी।
I think he's telling that the host should unmute him. The host has muted everybody.
No.
Tejas ji, can you?
Yeah, I think Ratanji should be able to unmute now if he clicks.
Yeah,
it is done. Yeah, thank you.
It's done.
Okay, so I have mentioned this in Sangh and Swaraj when RSS people stood up in full Ganvesh, and when Muslim goons came, at that time, Muslim goons were very much afraid of RSS. They would run away from wherever RSS came. In fact, Nehruji's meeting in Sindh, the Congress people are very afraid that they will be disturbed continuously. So the Congress people called up RSS leaders, and they provided RSS Samsung in Ganvesh there, and the Muslim goons ran away. Similar in Amritsar also, by the time they fought, then the other people also came running. Then Bijli Pahlwan, famous, he came in truck with his people, and there was some fight, and they ran away. In fact, communal riots in Amritsar went on for nearly 6 months. My mama himself lost his small finger and also lost his hearing. He was lying as dead in the heap of dead bodies, and then finally came home. So this was the situation there, and it was very difficult time. And this happened twice, and that is recorded in RSS records and also in my Sangh and Swaraj book.
There is one question: how RSS is expanding its wings for the women?
There was one that also, I think. Dr. Sankhe, how does RSS resolve conflicts between own divisions like BHP, Bajrang Dal, etc.? Okay. So should I take which question first, or Dr. Sankhe or the other one? You're talking of women here. You talk of women.
Yeah.
Okay. See, RS as a long time back, Prahlada Abhyankar would say that Sangha Shaka does not have women, but Sangha has women. So except RSS Shaka, everywhere women participation is highly anticipated, highly welcome. There is Rashtra Sevika Samiti, which is a body of women in RSS, which was started by Mausi Kelkar way back in 1932. When she came to RS, Dr. Hedigar saying that you are doing such a wonderful job for men because her son was coming, she was a widow. What about women? He said, I have not married. I don't know women. I have no idea how to work with them, how to work for them. I would request you to start an organization. We will support you fully. So that is how there was one person always assigned to Sevika Samiti for whatever help required, whether physical training, whether intellectual training, etc. And that organization is still there. It is expanding slowly. Problem comes because women time is different, their availability is different. So to adjust all that, it's much more difficult to create a women organization which is cadre based, which requires a lot of time dedication. There are pracharikas who give full time to RSS work, and that is expanding. Women have played huge role in earlier Jansangh, then BJP, then Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and Seva Karya. If you find a large number of women are taking part in Seva Karya. So role of women is expanding in RSS. They are welcome. They are called to meetings. Except RSS Shaka, they are called. Even in RSS Shaka now for Utsav, they are called. Very interestingly, in HSS, Hindu Swayam Sangh in UK, now there is only one Hindu Swayam Sangh with both men and women. It has already started there. In USA, though there is Rashtra Sevika Samiti and also Hindu Swayam Sangh, they have common camps. They have common office bearers for camps. So there could be a intellectual training who could be a lady, physical training who could be a man. So these experiments are happening. And in Sangha also, as I said, except RSS Shaka, they are welcome everywhere. They are encouraged to take part, and response is very good.
There's a question from Dr. Sankhi ji.
Yes, different organizations.
Yeah.
See, it is very interesting that it happens. See, the spirit of give and take, spirit of accommodation to each other, which is learnt in RSS. As I said, whether it's Delhi Shakha or whether it's Nagar level or district level, this readiness to accommodate each other and take a decision when everybody falls in line with certain decision, certain idea. It is a very lightly taken joke that even for changing from half pant to full pant, it took nearly 10 years. It's not a big decision. And people is there, change karo, change karo. Once Mohan Bhagaji said, I will not talk about it for next 4 years. Because there are certain people attached to certain ideas, it takes time to persuade them. The same spirit of accommodation also works when you're doing different organizations. Every organization is started by Swayamsev. It is not that there are no ego clashes. It's not that there are no clashes between area of operation. It happens. But knowing that we are all finally working for the society, we are all finally working for the betterment of the society and the nation, and we have to give and take. So that spirit of accommodation, that spirit of understanding each other lies at the basis of this lack of clash, though, because that sectors can clash. Laghu Udyog Bharati vis-a-vis Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, और लार्ज कॉर्पोरेशन से भारतीय मजदूर संघ और स्वदेशी वर्सेस भारतीय जनता पार्टी और स्वदेशी वर्सेस लघु उद्योग भारती, these issues do crop up. Sometimes the resolution of those conflicts is not possible. There can be ego clashes, there can be talks, but as famously said, we have matabhed, but we don't have manabhed. So sooner or later issues are thrashed out, issues are resolved, and otherwise everybody's own area of activity. So what Vishwa Hindu Parishad decides, others agree. What Swadeshi says, if people want to go with Swadeshi, they will go. Or they will say, Bhaiya, hum isko nahi mante. So it's not that everybody has to follow whatever is told to them. Within their own capacity, within their own work, they adjust to those requirements.
There is one question from Madhvi ji. How RSS ensures the safety of Swayamsevak?
It's nothing is raw courage. RSS doesn't ensure. Swayamsevak themselves ensure. They work together. They carry their strong spirit. I'll talk a very old example. Not in India. It is of course I can talk about Northeast also. But interestingly about my Chachaji who worked in Kenya. There was civil war. There was huge rebellion, and blacks took everybody as their enemies, whether whites or whether Indians. They thought they are close to British, etc. So there was this misunderstanding, though Jomo Kenyatta attended one of the HSS shakas where he was called. So my Chachaji would go to Shaka carrying a sickle, which was totally gone. It had no strength, it was rusted, it had no edge. But he would carry it and go to Shaka alone for some miles where he would be walking through bare fields. And he said that this is my strength, that I am a Swayamsek, why somebody can attack me. Similarly, in Northeast, same thing. They would work in group, they would see to it that they protect each other. Same thing is happening in Kerala. And they come together to see that nobody's hurt. But definitely they pay a price, whether in Punjab, whether in Northeast or Kerala. They have paid a price, but RS is not a private army. RS is not a military organization which will carry arms and try to protect. But as it uses law wherever required, supports each other where required, and where there is opposition. In fact, despite opposition, RSS work per thousand or per village is maximum in Kerala. Only place at every village is a shaka. So it's pure moral courage. If you look at the way Swayamsek stood up in Kashmir, the way they stood up in Punjab, it was pure moral courage, and before courage, these things don't work. And Guruji, I have quoted somewhere in Guruji's Guruji's biography, how he told the Swayamsek that your strength is your own strength is your real strength, and you can use arms only when you're strong. So there is no police protection. Definitely, if there is a knowledge that certain leader is threatened, maybe they will go to police station, seek protection, but it's not necessary they will get it. We know what happens in Kerala, we know what happens in Bengal. But it's pure courage, it's readiness to sacrifice the life for the nation or protect one's life for the nation, for the society, and that is what keeps it going.
There is one question from Abhishek ji. When Sarasanga Chalak ji was commented on similar kind of DNA for Hindus and Muslims, some of the Hindu groups did not take it in proper way. Then how to counter this?
See, there are two things. One is that 96 years of RSS work on ground has been able to raise the consciousness of the common Hindu very much. It is not a certain section. The entire Hindu society has risen its consciousness for 96 of continuous years of RSS work. So now Hindu society has become conscious. It has become conscious of its duties, rights, its duty to the nation, and also its duty to be disciplined, to be organized, to be united, to fight various kind of enemies for the progress, for the society, for the nation. It has to be ready. So this Nitya Siddha Shakti mantra of RSS, this particular approach to RSS work has led to a situation where Hindus are very awakened now. Being awakened, feeling irritated, feel angry, they feel any modified or any moderate stance is not good enough. So there is certain section of people who will always fall for extremist views, always fall for militant views. If you see on any situation this is happening in India today, whatever happens, you want to take extreme stance. But in case of RSS understood Hindu society very much. It understands nature very much. It knows its strength lies in its unity, its strength lies in its discipline and unity of purpose. So it doesn't promote violence, it doesn't promote extreme views, because we have to carry everybody along, as far as every section of society along, on our terms, not on somebody else's terms. So when you talk of the common DNA, it's a scientific fact. It is a fact that Dr. Swami has talked much before using this word by Mohan Rao Bhagat ji. This was used in a different way by Guruji, different way by Sudarshan ji. Our forefathers are same, our civilization is same. But Dr. Swami was the first, I think, who used the word DNA. So it is a commonly known fact that we have common DNA. 99% of the Indians, if not 99%, 95% of, I should fight on percentage, have the same DNA, have the same stock. They come from the same forefathers. Having said that, we have a reason to remind the people that you are from our own stock, we are from the same forefathers, same culture. If you recognize this, you can live happily like Indonesians live, despite changing the religion. They have not changed the culture. Even today, new city has been named after the old history of Indonesia, not in the name of any Islamic ruler. So this strength of Bharat has to be told to people. People may agree or may not agree. There are a large number of Muslims are slowly coming to terms to this idea against what was told to them for years together. They are foreigners. They must need a special protection. They must need special status. They are as if they are guests to this country. No, they are just like us. They should enjoy what we are enjoying. They should suffer what we are suffering. So this thought is what the meaning of that common DNA is. So it is, if you really take to the extreme, Why did Krishna go to Kauravas asking for 5 villages, knowing they will not agree? So Krishna went with a lot of strength, moral strength, saying that we are all the same. You are all, you have the same DNA, to use that word, and you must work together. With a small adjustment, your brothers and you will not fight. But the Mahabharata happened. So maybe Mahabharata will still happen. But do you want to invite violence? Do you want to invite this kind of sufferance? People who say that this is not the right approach, I always ask them, please tell me what is their approach. Is there an answer they have? Are they hungering for a street fight? Are they hungering to throw people of certain community in the Arabian Sea or in Pakistan or Bangladesh? They are part of us. They have to agree to live with us on our condition, the sense the way we live. Those who do not want to, if they want to create trouble, we will face the trouble. But Dr. Bhagwat just said a week back, राष्ट्र की एकता अखंडता से कोई समझौता नहीं, इसके लिए लड़ना पड़ा तो लड़ेंगे, मरना पड़ा तो मरेंगे. See what happened during Gandhi's time when he buckled up before buckled down before Moplas by saying they are following the religion and let them run amok, was a position of weakness. When RSS says that you belong to us and we belong to the same civilization, is from a position of strength. RSS has fought the very element, the divisive elements during partition. It has fought them in various places continuously when the consciousness was so high and RSS was called communal. It has fought those ideas. But this idea is not new. This idea was espoused by Guruji, though he was witness to the huge violence and was who encouraged themselves to take the fight for the Hindu protection wherever required. And he said that if we are not asking you to convert, you may convert, because he talked of Dharvasi first in this era. But those who want to remain, they are ready to, they should do their worship. When I say Indianization, we only mean that we must recognize our culture, our forefathers same, history same. Your people whom you worship are not outside, they are in India only. So our national hero Ram is your hero also. Shiva is your hero, my hero also. We cannot have Babar as a hero. So these ideas were espoused by Guruji. This was further propounded, all of them. But even Bala Sahib there said, Shakha's doors are open to Muslims or Christians, those who agree with the RSS viewpoint, who are ready to follow the discipline of the RSS Shakha. So it's from position of strength, having fought these elements for so many years, that Bala Sahib Dr. Mohan Bhagwat said that we belong to the same stock, we belong to the same history. You have to understand this. You can join the mainstream. And there are people who still believe they are Arabians. Okay, they will create trouble. We will fight the trouble. He has never said that we'll buckle down like Moplas. No, he never said we'll not fight when something like direct action happens again. He never said that we will bow before unreasonable demands of anybody. He has not used it. So to create trouble, now what has happened, that because extreme opinions are very popular, people use their riding on the popularity of Hindutva, which is based on RSS hard work on the ground. There are people who want to become new Mathadesh of extreme thoughts, of extreme militant thoughts, without providing solution. To my mind, solution is strong, united Hindu society, and people will fall in line.
Thank you. One question is there.
When Kerala, when Kerala will improve in regards to the Hindu community there, when RSS is growing.
I think, Nana, you came between. There are certain questions in the chat. So can I look at them?
Yeah, I will take up that. How much is the presence of RSS in Bengal? And if it is not much, what can be done?
See, RSS work in Bengal has progressed a lot during last 30 years. RSS, Vishnu Parishad, Bajrang Dal work has improved a lot in last 30 years. And that is the reason why you see a groundswell of support coming up in Bengal. It is similar to work in Kerala. Kerala also, we are very strong in economically backward, socially backward communities, fishermen, etc. Similarly, in the Bengal also, the Hindus have been neglected by the upper class people, the privileged people, those people who are living in villages, and deprived people. They are more close to RSS on the ground. And that is why they've been oppressed now during this regime. And it's a tough fight. Because as you know, many districts are Muslim majority. There are many districts which have got Pakistani, Bangladeshi elements who create trouble. But RSS is working quietly on the ground. A lot of seva karya is happening there. Education issues running there. And RSS work is also happening. That is the reason you saw a huge resistance since 2014 onwards on the ground.
Yeah, someone wanted to ask question. Yeah, regarding Kerala.
What about, there are many questions here.
Yeah, one minute, I will take up that.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Yes, Rajivji, yeah, ask.
Sir,
There is a very funny question. It says, how, okay, what about Dharam Parivartan happening, repeated demographic explosion? Actually, this by Shirisha, actually, Ghar Vaps is also happening. We are also working, our people also working on the ground. It is something which is not to be, it's not something that you can boast about, do propaganda about, because people who convert have to face a lot of social issues. They are cut off from their from the faith where they are converted and back to Hindu faith. This is a very sensitive and carefully done work. You see once in a while the news of people reconverting, people coming back, and slowly I think there is a, as I said, talked about indigenous faith in Northeast. You will also find slowly the people who has tasted this convergence, which has led them to rootlessness, will slowly convert. Work is happening on the ground by different organizations. It is not something to be, unless substantive happens, there is no need to talk about it. It is the other people had much bigger head start, like I talked about church coming in 1836 and much earlier in South. But it's an unequal fight, but fight is being given in ideological terms, in terms of Gharvapsi. Then you talk about whom does RSS see enemy? RSS does not see anybody's enemy. If you look at Mohan Bhagwat's lectures these days, we are not considering anybody's enemy. Anybody's enemy of the nation is our enemy, whether it's Hindu or Muslim by faith, doesn't matter. Won't Muslims become moles within RSS if they are allowed to enter RSS? Aren't there spies, Hindu spies working for Pakistan? So we put trust. People who come to RSS, either they will fall off or they will remain in RSS. What is there for RSS to hide? And if they feel, many people, in fact, there is a story which is coming on social media very strongly. In fact, you may not know, a Pracharak was a Muslim Pracharak was in Maharashtra for many years. He died just about 1.5 years back. He was a Muslim. He converted much later in life. There is a story of a Swamiji who came to convert Hindus to Christianity, came to RSS as a mole, and finally converted to Hinduism and became a Pracharak of Vishnu Parishad. So our faith, our Sanatan Dharma is so strong and so open, so plural, so respectful to everybody, that there is hardly any chance of somebody being a mole. Do you think people may not have tried? Do you think police has not tried? What they have found? It is a joke that in 48, when they're trying to ban again somewhere in after 49 also, they said, what does RSS do? Secret kya RSS mein? So one CID reported that, at the end of the shaka, when everybody comes together, there is a person from the back who comes ahead and says something in the ear of the person in the front. Another person comes from the side. He listens to everybody who puts something in his ear. Then he goes and tells to the shikshak, and shikshak tells to the head of the shaka. That is the secret. And what is the secret? That is the counting of the sankhya in the shaka. So last person comes, tells the sankhya to the first person. Then the person is going to do shaka prarthana. He comes, takes sankhya from everybody, tells it to Mukhiksha, who gives to Kareva. So this is the level of understanding of RSS, even the CID at that time. When emergency took place, police, CID came to my home. They shuffled to all the papers. They were trying to arrest my brother who had gone to Surat nearly 5-6 years back. They never arrested me at that time. They arrested me during Satyagraha. So this is the condition of such a poor, during emergency, Indira Gandhi fired police people saying, I gave you a list of 3,000 RSS leaders who to be arrested. You have not arrested anybody. In fact, you arrested a few, and you have arrested those people who complained in Congress who are enemies of each other. Police said, what to do? We don't know anybody. We have no photograph of the leaders. They stay in homes. They stay as mamas and chachas and bhais. By the time we realize, they're already gone. So this strength of RSS lies in the family relations, lies with people, the faith in each other, the family relations with each other. It doesn't lie in some mantra pook in somebody's ears and the Muslim comes and takes away a secret to somebody else. That is the way it happens. हाँ, जब केरल का पूछ रहे थे उसकी बारी आ गई, नाना शायद पूछ रहे थे.
No, see, I wanted to ask you regarding Kerala. In Kerala, RSS is very strong, but still the murders of RSS Karyakartas is taking place. When it will be stopped?
See, what is the demography of Kerala? If you know, Hindus are today not even 50%. So officially 2011 it says 52 or 54%. If census takes place 2021, it will be less than 50%. Then Kerala has a lot of caste compositions like blessing of Bhagwan on every state. We have very strong caste loyalties where people ultimately end up voting for the caste. I was reading the survey of UP where they said Vikas and all that comes at number 4 and Jati and Dharm comes at number 1, 35%. So this is the situation where we have tried very hard to break the caste issues, break the society's resistance to unification in the name of higher goals. In Kerala, it's already about 50%, while Christians and Muslims form another 25%. While they vote en bloc, Hindus don't vote en bloc. Secondly, the two fronts are entrenched so hard. One is United Democratic Front, which is basically a front of communal parties with Congress, and again LDF, which has got communal parties, which is led by communists. So this polarization means that when person wants to defeat another party, he or she will vote for a party which is likely to defeat it. Still, there is a doubt in the mind of Keralites that BJP can actually defeat these two people. When it comes to voting, all the support to BJP gets converted to vote for the party whom they want to defeat or front they want to defeat. Once BJP is able to put its foot in the door, like it did in Karnataka, it did in Goa, it did in Maharashtra also, and then it will go from strength to strength and will find the scenario changing. But for that, the first step, which was supposed to be last year, didn't happen, but may happen sooner than later when people realize the real risk to what is happening in Kerala, and when they vote more as blocks like other groups do. And once BJP is ready to show some result in that sense of some 8 or 10 seats, and when people locally feel that yes, they can substitute these parties which are corrupt and which are communal, which are some of them which are also anti-nation, then BJP will make its right place. Right now, yes, socially it is very strong. Politically, it's not, because RSS is not equal to BJP. Remember this. So when you talk of RSS being very strong, it does not mean BJP is very strong. When it comes to politics, many other considerations come into play, and that is when you find that results not translating. You're talking about Kerala. If you look at election results in Maharashtra, after Mulshi Dam burst, and in India after 1948 partition, when RSS worked very hard and many RSS people felt that people should vote for Jansangh, they did not, and they were very angry. Both in Maharashtra and in the national level, Guruji said, did you work for getting the votes of people? No, you worked because you wanted to serve the people. So don't look at this as a political win or loss. That is how Jansangh grew, that is how BJP grew, that is how it grew. But RSS is not equal to BJP. Support to RSS does not mean support to BJP. You may not agree with me.
Rajiv ji want to ask.
Argue on this now. Yes.
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, ये आरएसएस में जो राष्ट्रीय मुस्लिम मंच है, तो वो जैसे मुस्लिम उनकी जो बिलीव है कुरान की कि अल्लाह ही एक ईश्वर है और बाकी कोई ईश्वर नहीं है और हिंदू काफिर है, तो आरएसएस ये मंच द्वारा अपने जो मुसलमान आरएसएस में है वो आप किस तरह से उसको लेते हैं, मतलब वो मुसलमान कैसे हिंदुत्व या हिंदू को लेते हैं? एक मेरा ये क्वेश्चन है, और दूसरा एक
ही लेंगे एक बार में, फिर भूल जाओ।
ठीक है,
क्योंकि ये इश्यू जरा विशेष सेंसिटिव है, तो मुझे उसका जवाब अलग से देने दीजिए। पहली बात है, आज भी ये मुस्लिम राष्ट्रीय मंच की महिला जो कन्वीनर है, उसने आज ट्वीट किया है कि एमआरएम आरएसएस की शाखा नहीं है। उसने खुद ने कहा है, स्वीकार किया, और ये बिल्कुल स्पष्ट है कि एमआरएम इज नॉट एन एलाइड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ आरएसएस।
Okay.
RSS, it is not invited in any program of RSS, is not invited any बैठक of RSS, decision making बैठक of RSS. It is an organization of Muslims who are national in their feeling, who feel that this is their nation, that हम सब इसी देश के वासी हैं. जो गुरुजी ने विषय रखा, जो मोहन जी रख रहे हैं, कि हम भी इसी देश के वासी हैं, हमारी भी हिस्ट्री, हमारी भी कल्चर, हमारा भी ट्रेडिशन और हिस्ट्री सारी इसी देश से जुड़ी हुई है. ऐसे मुस्लिम है और वो अपना पंथ क्यों नहीं छोड़ते. तो अगर आप कहेंगे तो उसका प्रश्न तो बहुत कठिन है, क्योंकि अपने उनकी बहुत क्लोजली निट कम्युनिटी है. अगर वो कम्युनिटी से बाहर आते हैं तो उनको एनमास आना पड़ेगा, उनको एनमास हिंदू समाज में जगह देनी पड़ेगी और तब वो स्थान बनेगा. लेकिन उस समाज को सुधारना भी आवश्यक है. तो जो कुरान में लिखा है, देखिए कुरान के 2 भाग हैं. आप किसी भी इस्लामिक स्कॉलर को पूछिए, जो बताना चाहता है कि इस्लाम बहुत पीसफुल है, जो इस्लाम बताना चाहता है बहुत उदारवादी है, वो मक्का के दिनों का है, जबकि मोहम्मद मक्का में रहते थे और जब उनके पास शक्ति नहीं थी. तो कहते तेरा धर्म तेरा, मेरा धर्म मेरा, तू अपनी जगह मैं अपनी जगह, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. जो भी उनके टॉलरेंस वाले स्पीच हैं, जो टॉलरेंस वाले आयत हैं, वो सारे मक्का के हैं. जब वो वहां से निकल गए, जिसको हिजरत कहते हैं, वो जब मदीना चले गए, उनको लगा यहाँ तो मेरी कोई सुनता नहीं, तो मदीना में उन्होंने जाके अपने आप को स्थापित किया. और वहां पर जब लगा कि मेरी बात कोई सुन नहीं रहा, मेरे विरुद्ध अभी भी दुश्मन है और उनके यहाँ साथी बढ़ गए, तो उन्होंने वायलेंट रूप अपनाया और उनको वैसी आयतें सुनने लग गई. अभी मैं इसमें नहीं जाऊंगा कि उस समय ऐसी क्यों सुनी, आप ऐसी क्यों सुनी, वो एक अलग मुद्दा है, हम उस झगड़े में नहीं जाते. तो उनको जो आयतें जो भी मिले, उसमें वायलेंट आयतें मिली कि जो दुश्मन मिले उसको मार डालो, या उन्होंने आयतें लोगों को बताई, ऐसा मान लीजिए. तो उस समय की सारी वायलेंट आयतें, इंटॉलरेंट आयतें सारे मक्का के समय की है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुरान की जो कंपाइलेशन बाद में हुई है, तो वो जिसको कहते हैं कि वो टाइमलाइन के हिसाब से नहीं है. कई मुसलमान की टाइमलाइन के हिसाब से होती, तो ये उन्होंने पहले कहा या बाद में कहा. तो अभी जो रिफॉर्मिस्ट मुसलमान है, उसका कहना है कि जो वायलेंट आयतें थी, वो सारी आयतें उस समय की थी जब इस्लाम युद्ध में था, मोहम्मद युद्ध में थे और अपने एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए लड़ रहे थे, अपने लोगों के लिए लड़ रहे थे, इसलिए उन्होंने ऐसी भाषा का उपयोग किया. आज वो काल बाह्य है. तो आज हमें केवल जो मक्का में कहा गया उसको स्वीकार करना चाहिए, जो शांति का संदेश है, जो लोगों के भाईचारे का संदेश है, उसको हमने मानना चाहिए. ऐसे रिफॉर्मिस्ट मुस्लिम कहते हैं. आपको आवश्यकता सुल्तान शाहीन की किताब पढ़िए, उनका एक साइट है newAgeislam.org, उसमें जाइए, उसके अंदर बहुत सारे आर्टिकल मिलेंगे जिसके अंदर मॉडर्न सोच वाले मुस्लिम उसको अपने ढंग से पेश करते हैं. अभी इस तरह का मुस्लिम जो अपने आप को इस देश से जोड़ना चाहता है, जो अपने आप को इस समाज से जोड़ना चाहता है, उसको हम नहीं जुड़ने दें क्या. जो संघ की शाखा में है, वो तो हिंदू, समझो संस्कार से हिंदू बन गया, कल्चरली हिंदू बन गया, नमाज पढ़ता होगा, इतना ही है. लेकिन जो वो नहीं भी कर रहा, ऐसे व्यक्तियों को देश के मेन स्ट्रीम में लाना है कि नहीं लाना है, तो एमआरएम जैसे संस्थान की जरूरत है, ऐसे संगठनों की जरूरत है. और उनको जहां सहायता देने की जरूरत है, सहायता देनी चाहिए. उनका समाज में क्या होता होगा, कभी आपने सोचा है? अपने यहाँ घाटकोपर के अंदर एक विद्यार्थी परिषद का फुल टाइमर मुस्लिम था, इरफान पीरजादा, इस समय मुस्लिम राष्ट्रीय मंच का काम करता है, नाम ले सकता हूँ कि ओपन है वो, और कई जगह एक्टिव भी है. तो उसको मैंने एक बार ऐसे ऐसे लाइटली पूछा कि भैया आपको दिक्कत नहीं आती, ऐसे क्लोज समाज में आप काम करते हो और इसको समाज के अंदर सुधारवादी बातें करते हो. उन्होंने 10 लाख सिग्नेचर जमा किया काउ प्रोटेक्शन के लिए. उन्होंने काम किया ट्रिपल तलाक को खत्म करने के लिए. उन्होंने काम किया एजुकेशन रिफॉर्म्स के लिए. ये सारा वो कर रहे हैं, उस समाज के अंदर कर रहे हैं जिसके अंदर हमारा प्रवेश नहीं पाते. वो काम करने ने कहा कि समस्या होती है. मेरी सगाई हुई थी, मैं ससुराल में गया और मेरे ससुर ने कहा कि वो बड़ा वो अपना ओसामा की बिन लादेन की प्रशंसा करने लग गया. तो मैंने कहा ससुर जी बहुत बढ़िया बात है, ऐसा करते हैं, उसको भारत में बुलाते हैं, उसको हार वगैरह पहनाते हैं, उसका स्वागत करते हैं. तो ससुर जी भड़क गए, उसको रिश्ता उन्होंने तोड़ दिया. अब आप सोचिए कि ऐसे समाज के अंदर वो समाज काम कर रहा है जो अपने आप को इस मिट्टी से जुड़ा पाता है, तो उसको हमेशा हिकारत की दृष्टि से देखेंगे क्या, हम इसको इनकार करेंगे क्या. आज का मुद्दा है हिजाब का, उसके ऊपर एमआरएम वालों ने खुले मन से कहा कि हम हिजाब के मुद्दे को गलत झगड़ा मानते हैं, अतिवादी झगड़ा मानते हैं, पढ़ाई पे ध्यान चाहिए, जो कानून है उस हिसाब से चलना चाहिए. हाँ, एक ये भी वक्तव्य है कि जिस जिस हिंदू लड़कों ने लड़की को ट्रोल किया, लड़की के विरुद्ध नारे लगा, अच्छा नहीं किया, ठीक है, वो एक छोटा मुद्दा. मेन मुद्दा क्या है कि वो कह रहे हैं जो हम कह रहे हैं. तो इसके कारण ये छोटी छोटी चीजें ध्यान में रखें कि अभी एक कॉनरेड हेल्स कई बार मजाक में कहा करते हैं, कि मजाक नहीं, वास्तव में सीरियसली कहा करते हैं, मजाक मैंने नहीं कहना चाहिए, वो सीरियसली कहते हैं कि नॉट ऑल मुस्लिम्स आर गुड बट सम मुस्लिम्स आर गुड डिस्पाइट बीइंग मुस्लिम्स. मैं उनको अक्षरशः मैं नहीं लेता हूँ, लेकिन उसका सार समझिए कि जो 5 बार दिन में जो बात सिखाई जाती है कि केवल अल्लाह सही है, बाकी सब गलत है, जो उसको मानेगा वही सही है, उसको नहीं मानेगा वो काफिर है, ये सुनने के बाद भी जो मुसलमान अपने आप के समाज से जुड़ा हुआ पाता है और कहता है कि पहले का जो पार्ट है कुरान का जो स्वीकार है, दूसरा शायद अभी काल बाह्य है, तो ऐसे लोगों को समाज से जुड़ने का मौका देना चाहिए, मुझे लगता है।
बराबर।
और
That's
आज
true.
जब किसी ने कहा कि हम इसकी निंदा करते हैं, मैंने तुरंत उसकी निंदा भी की सोशल मीडिया के अंदर। तो ऐसा नहीं कि अनक्वेश्चन सपोर्ट है, अनक्वेश्चन कोई भी बात है, जैसा लोग संघ को क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं, हम भी किसी को क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं, हमें भी कोई क्वेश्चन कर सकता है, इसमें कोई शंका नहीं है।
Thanks for great clarity. Yes.
Ajay ji, I think we should wind up now.
Yes, Dr. Sankhiji, you want to comment as a concluding remark?
So thank you, Dr. Ratan, Sharda. It was scintillating, it was invigorating, it was inspirational. Also, of course, it is true that whenever we are all part of the Sangha Parivar, whenever we encounter any people in RSS, it is always inspiring. So no doubt, and so many questions, and I'm sure probably if you are okay, then we'll invite you for another session for some other topic in the future. So
There
that
is one question left. I will not leave it unanswered, so people should feel that I am not answering. It's a very difficult question. What are the SOP or procedures? Who will take final decision for the prachar? Each district is a prachar pramukh. They have a toli. There is a national. There is a like every other structure. We have city level toli. We have got state level toli. So we believe that every Swayamsek is responsible. Every Swayamsek understand what RSS does. So within those parameters, local committee can take a decision. In case of national issue where we are not very clear, they can always talk to higher authorities, higher leaders, and get clarity.
yeah, thank you, thank you, Dr. Ji. So thank you very much for this excellent session and lot of clarifications and news which we heard from you, and our respect and commitment to the Sangha Parivar has definitely increased. So we are very grateful to you. And is Jagdishji around? And I would like him to comment if he's around. I don't see him. Are you there, Jagdishji? No, I don't.
Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Mataram.
No, he is not there, I think.
Okay, not an issue. So thank you very much, Ratan Shardaji, and we look forward to another session with you in some near.
Sir, I have one question. I have asked a question in the comment box. No, that's why, sir, I have raised the hand because I don't want to interrupt the speaker.
Please, quick, yes.
Sir, I have already asked the question. My question is in comment box.
Oh, okay.
I may have missed the comment box. Okay.
You can ask. You can
just ask it. You can just ask.
His question is, how does RSS ensure the safety fits to Swayamsevaks?
Responded to that.
Sir, there is another question.
Already. He has answered.
I gave a long answer. Please go
Yeah,
back to the
Madhviji already asked this
Sir,
question.
there is another question also there.
Exactly,
Sir, what is the
answered
rule?
exactly the same question.
Sir,
No, he has
actually,
another question, as he said.
Yes, sir, what is the role of RSS Swayamsevaks for acting against antisocial and anti-human activity? If it is against their Swayamsevak itself.
See, you have to speak to me separately in a particular case. It's not a general comment. It may be an experience you had and you want to put it as a question. Since I'm not aware of the incident, I cannot respond to that. So
Okay.
you will have to ask me question or specific incidents. Without understanding the reference point, I cannot respond to this.
Okay.
RSS Swayamsevak is supposed to act with public character, with discipline, with morality. And as Balasaheb Deras has defined, RS is supposed to be, Shakha is supposed to be Abhay Kendra of that particular locality where anything wrong goes, Swayamsevak must stand up and fight that wrong. And, put things right and give Abhay to the local people. That is the definition of Shakha as Balasaheb Deras defined it. This is the general answer to a question which I do not know the details, so I cannot get into details right now. I think what needs to be told, I have told.
Okay. So, sir, means how can say, you are running, sir? I means I gone through your means script where it is depicting that you are running means some organization. So, can we have, sir, some brief about
No,
that?
I am not running any organization. It is Vishwadhyan Kendra Center for International Studies. It is concerns the study of international affairs. It is not concerning national issues. If you want to get connected to Vishwadhyan Kendra, I'll put you on to the person required. You can send me your contact through the people who are running the show.
Okay, sir. No issue.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
no
Now,
office bearer there.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, Ajay, you can close it.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ratan Shardaji, for your vast insight on this subject matter. Now we are inviting 6-year-old Vande Mataram. Kindly rise on our place.
इस साल की भी जब तक जागी हुई है वंदे मातरम बोलने के लिए सुनो.
Yes.
6-year-old.
Yes, 6-year-old Aparna.
Okay.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam, Sufalam, Manalajaya Sheetalam, Sasya Shamalam, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhrajyotsnam Pulakitiyaminim, Fullakusumita Drumadala Shobhinim, Suhasinim Sumadhura Bhashinim, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mate ki
Jai.
Excellent.